Welcome to Practical Business Technology, where we keep you in the know about technology's impact on business. Today's show is sponsored by the Maricopa County Bar Association, and our host is Dave Kinsey, author and owner of Total Networks. Today's show, we're talking about phishing. Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm here with Dave Kinsey.
Hi there.
So phishing, and we mean fishing with a PH, although it is a play on words, right?
Yeah, not fishing when I say with a rod and with bait and a pole, but it's very much related. The idea is the bad guys want to get you on their hook, and reel you in.
They want to catch you.
Exactly.
So what is phishing?
Sure. Well, phishing is when somebody sends you an email and they are trying to get you to click on it. Trying to get you to click on it or to do something that you really shouldn't do. So I can give you an example. This is a real life example that happened to one of my clients a number of years ago. There was an email that came into somebody that said, "Here's my resume, applying for this, interested in this position," or what have you. Basically, it was a resume. And the person who received the email was not in HR, right? So that should have been a clue to the person that why would somebody be sending me a resume? But people are interested, and hey, who is this person that's applying for this job? And so they clicked on it, and no, it was. I think it actually looked like a resume, but it really was just a fake thing, and it infected the systems, and it was bad. That's an example.
Well, I would imagine that would be an easy one to get tricked by because candidates might be emailing resumes in. Maybe they're confused and have the wrong person they're sending it to.
Sure. Well, and if you work in HR, you can expect this, but you also want to be very diligent about what you click on even there. Here's a clue where the person wasn't in HR. There's no earthly reason why they should have received the email.
But they could have been.
They were looky-loo.
Even more
They were doing looky-loo
confusing.
this time. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's a lot of examples. I can tell you the gift card scam is a popular one. It was making the rounds. I think it's still out there. The idea is somebody emails you, and this has happened. We had people email somebody and say, this is an attorney emailing out to their staff, which is what happened. And they said, I need this get these gift cards, these iTunes gift cards for a client. Or for a client giveaway. So I need you to run to the store, get these iTunes gift cards, scratch off the numbers, and email me the numbers. And so the idea is once you have the numbers, you have access to the gift cards.
Just to clarify, these emails appear as if they're coming from someone you know.
Absolutely. So, well, not always, but yeah, they often do.
But they're not really coming from that person.
No, they're not.
So that. What is that called?
Well, they may spoof. Spoofing is kind of a word used in pretending to be somebody else. And emails are fairly easily spoofed.
How do you do that?
When email was designed, the people that created it didn't actually create it with very strong controls to authenticate who you are. So basically, whoever you say you are is basically what the system will take for granted that you are that person. Now, there are some protections that are in place, but they're certainly far from perfect.
Yeah, but if I have an email address, how does someone else send it where it looks like it? Are they actually sending from your email account?
Not generally. They're not generally coming from that person. They can if, say, there's an infection that happens, but more common, it's impersonating. Yeah, this is a real problem. I own an IT business based in Phoenix where we've had this issue, and I also am part of a peer group of other IT business owners from around the country where we get together once a quarter and share things that are working for us, share our challenges, and basically try to learn and grow that way. And one of my peer members mentioned they had an issue at one of their clients where a wire transfer happened from a business owner who was out of town, and apparently an email came in saying, we have this important vendor. I'm working on some sort of deal where they need a deposit to be able to begin work on this. and gave him wiring information. It was a different wire, a particular address to be able to wire stuff to, and the person was out of the office. And so there wasn't the ability to say just go walk over to them and ask them, although I imagine they could have called them on their cell phone or done some other validation, but they didn't. And this money actually went out the door and was lost. So there are different ways of dealing with this. Obviously, you want to be training people, but you also want to be able to make it as easy for people to be able to spot potential problems. So one of the things that we did at my company was we implemented a special message for all messages that come from outside the company, and this message is automatically inserted with red letters at the top of the body of every message so that it stands out. It says this message originated outside of, name a company. For us, it would be this message originated outside of Total Network. So that way, if, say, somebody received an email inside my company that purported to be from me, and it had that information, had that warning on there, it probably did not come from me. So we implemented this for ourselves and for our clients. That's one way to help. There's no foolproof way, but that's one thing that can help with that. One of the most impactful examples of phishing is the DNC email hack that happened in the 2016 election. So how did the hackers get at the emails? The primary vector was phishing. What transpired? Well, there's been quite a bit written. There's a lot of people that speak with certainty about what happened, and I challenge that a little bit just because forensics is a little bit of an imperfect art, and people that are really good hackers can leave trails that send you in the wrong direction and whatnot. So being able to speak with 100% certainty seems impossible. But basically all accounts are that the very first hack, and there were multiple hacks. One of the hacks that happened was Podesta's email. This was Podesta was the chairman of the DNC, of the Democratic National Committee. His personal Gmail account was hacked, and this I believe was in March of 2016. And the email purported to come from Google. This is a Gmail account that said your account's been compromised. You need to change your password. My understanding is that Podesta or his assistant, I'm assuming, I think it was Podesta himself maybe, emailed to some IT support to say, hey, is this legitimate? And the person said, yeah, it is legitimate. And, you should change your Gmail password, which is not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea if something's suspicious to change your Gmail password. The problem is he clicked the link that he was sent to change the Gmail password. He didn't go specifically, Google, hey, Gmail, how do I change my password and do all that. And so he clicked on the link, gave credentials to the hackers, and they were off to the races. I believe about a month later, the actual DNC Exchange server started getting hacked. Once again, primary vector was phishing emails. So phishing, it's effective, and phishing changed the course of the 2016 election.
So what information did they get when they clicked on that link?
There's authentication, right? You have to log in to say who you are. Hopefully you've got two-factor authentication, you've got security. All that goes out the window when you click on something, though, because whatever you are running, that computer is running that as you. So you are already logged in, and so basically you are running software that will do whatever the computer, you tell it to do, and it's authorized as you because you're the person that is actually running it. And so...
Well, and so that can happen where you get an email that looks like it's coming from your bank.
Sure.
And you think it's your bank. And you click on it and you log in.
Yeah,
well, now you've logged into your financial institution.
Sure. Yeah, that absolutely can happen. So
and sometimes that's not even really your bank. It's a pretend website that looks like your bank, but now they've captured your credentials.
Yeah, picture it might even be like a warning, saying, "Hey, alert! This is a suspicious transaction." or a large transaction or something. Just want to make sure it's real. Something people will do things to create a sense of urgency, and will try to take advantage of people's concerns and fears, or the desire to do good, desire to help people. They can be very, very fishy. I don't know how else to say it. People can be very tricky, I should say. So
yeah, they can be convincing. I mean, I've seen some where it's really hard to tell that it's not real.
Really, the best way to be able to determine if something is phishing or not has to do with using your mouse over. When don't click on the link, but if you mouse over the link, it should indicate the web address of where you're going, the URL. And if you look at it very, very closely to try to make sure it is 100% legit, that will go a long way to helping you figure out what's legit or not. There could be just like one letter that's off or something, but if in doubt, do not click on the link. If anything looks suspicious, chances are it's not legit.
So, but these are examples. So I feel like we've been talking about phishing for a really long time, and even like the DNC and the Panama Papers, those were a while ago. Is it still happening?
Every day it's happening. Because hacks happen because people will click on the thing that they shouldn't have. In Arizona, one thing that comes to mind is back in July, and actually, this breach happened in July, but I think it's just getting kind of announced now, like around November, December of 2019. Delta Dental of Arizona. Phishing email. It happens all the time. So it's a real problem.
So phishing is when an email is sent from someone pretending to be someone that they're not.
Correct.
And with the goal of you doing something that will give them information or money or access to your data.
And it can be just a single click.
So that's with an email, but I've heard of variants. What are some other things that are sort of like phishing?
Sure. You mean like vishing?
What's vishing?
Yeah, vishing. That's voice phishing, basically. This happened to my mom the other day, where she received a phone call purporting to be from her grandson in prison. And she's like, what? What's going on here? And basically wanting to solicit money and don't tell my mom and whatnot. And the sound was kind of muffled or whatever. He couldn't really make out the voice so well. But, my mom was like, what's going on here? For a minute there, she thought it could be real. And there is an excellent, I don't know if the better word is excellent or frightening. I think it's a little bit of both. Actually, I'd say excellent, frightening, and riveting podcast. I regularly listen to a number of podcasts. One is from the Wall Street Journal. The podcast is called The Journal. And right around Thanksgiving 2019, I think it was like the 22nd or so of November, there was a podcast called the $340,000 robocall scam. And this was a vishing that was started by a robocall, an automated caller saying, it was clearly a robot saying, the IRS. It started with saying something, there was a problem that basically purporting to be from the IRS or the FBI or something like that. And the person, it was convincing enough to the person where they clicked one, whatever, and then they started getting connected to a real person. And it was frightening to hear what happened to this poor person. If you want to hear a kind of a good listen and a good informational listen, the $340,000 robocall scam on Wall Street Journal podcast, I'd recommend it. So, but in addition to phishing, you've also got smishing, which is SMS phishing. It's a text message phishing. If there's a way where a crook can try to get you on the hook and reel you in, they're going to do it.
So this is pretty common, right?
Yep.
I mean, this happens
every day.
And that's probably one of the big reasons why you would want a spam filter.
Oh, absolutely.
You would get I get a quarantine every day, and there's probably 50 emails in that quarantine. It's a huge list.
Mm-hmm. That's one defense.
So that's one way to catch them, but sometimes they get through.
Oh, absolutely.
Or heaven forbid you think it's legit and you release it from the quarantine, and then you still have access to
Yeah, absolutely. It's just
that email.
the idea of security is built on layers. So there's one of the most important layers when it comes to phishing is your brain and training people, because even with all sorts of defensive layers, things may come in, and it requires people's awareness and diligence. But you do want to have very good spam filtering as well.
So what are the tricks that criminals do? Like how do they know so much about who to send the email to get the best result?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, we do live in an information age, right, where so much is available. When you have a very targeted attack, it's called spear phishing. The idea is not just phishing, but like we're jabbing at a specific point. It's very colorful language, right? So when you look at, say, the DNC hack, there was a spear phishing attack where they knew the email address. This actually wasn't all that sophisticated, and it worked. What should have happened in that particular case was, it's certainly never a bad idea to change your password, but the problem is the person actually clicked on the link that the criminal sent to reset the password. You would want to Google it, and go to Google and say, how do I reset my Gmail account, and follow that link, which is always it's good advice. You basically, if you have somebody directing you to a link to do something, you want to basically go through the front door. You don't want to go through a backdoor link that somebody sent you. You want to go where you would always go. Same kind of thing. If somebody called and said they were from the FBI, call the FBI. Call them directly, the FBI number, and try to figure out, are you really talking with an FBI agent? There'll be a way to figure it out. Chances are the FBI is probably not calling you. It probably is a scam, but if the FBI could be calling you, you'll be able to get it through the front door, basically.
Well, that's like if your granddaughter calls you and says, "I have been arrested. I need bail money."
Sure.
Then
call the jail.
Or,
well, I know
or have
that's a great hack, though, isn't it? Because you're like, you have limited time to be on the phone, right? Yeah.
I mean, there's an example though where you need to verify that you're really talking to your granddaughter and
Absolutely.
not to someone else. So, I've talked with my daughters about a secret code word that
that's
you
a
might
good idea.
use so that you can make sure they're really the right person.
So what's that code word?
I'm not saying.
Oh no, don't tell me. Yeah, but that's a good idea. So that way you have some way to provide authentication. That's multi-factor authentication.
It is.
Well, it's something else. It's so yeah.
So I mean, obviously we've talked a little bit about what can happen. I mean, you can lose money, like that $340,000 robocall scam. That poor family lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because they sent money. They transferred their money from their bank account to another bank account and like willingly moved their money to another location because they trusted the wrong person.
Sure.
So really, if anyone asks you to wire money or move money, especially with a financial thing, I agree. I think making sure you know that it was a legitimate request.
Yeah.
Double, triple check. I've heard that this can happen when you're buying a house, that you might get wire instructions to make your purchase for your home, and those wire instructions you need to make super certain are the right ones.
Yeah, I think the one thing we've got going for us is, a lot of people are suspicious, which is good. I think taking time. So the criminals will create a sense of urgency, and what we need to always do is remain calm. All is well. We'll figure this out. We'll double check, triple check, go through the front door. Don't just follow the link. Don't just do what somebody's telling you to do on the phone.
Let your daughter stay in jail for a little bit longer.
Well, hopefully that's not the case.
Just to make sure that
see, that's yeah.
Well, but
she'll survive, right? Yeah.
She will survive.
All right.
So yeah, you're right. I think the sense of urgency can get you all anxious and maybe not thinking straight. So taking a breath and so even after all this education, why does it still work?
Yeah, well, because
Is it
people
just
are
we
people.
get caught off guard?
Yeah,
and-
people get caught off guard. It's vigilance. It's and obviously there's people. Some people are more vigilant than others. This is why one of the best things I can recommend to any business is to do regular phishing testing. So simulated phishing emails to people. My company does this for our clients, and actually we just recently switched from one system to another specifically because it does a better job of automatically doing the phishing testing all the time, continuously, sprinkles it in over time rather than us have to because we'd have to be diligent to schedule these tests and click on buttons. We want to have it more automated so that we can continually be
So what
testing
happens
it.
when you send a simulated phishing email to your employees?
Basically, you send something that is basically simulates a phishing email. It's going to be illegitimate. There'll be maybe some subtle clues. There'll always be some subtle clues, and what you're looking for is you want to get somebody to click on that message, that basically click on it what they shouldn't do, because that will redirect them to a hey, you shouldn't have clicked on this, and an educational link, and you can also get reports to management and whatnot. You want people clicking on those emails so that they don't click on the real bad emails. The idea is you would rather have that type of failure. I mean, you don't want people to fail at all, but better to have that kind of failure and that kind of education than when it really counts.
So a security awareness program where it's just every so often and you don't know when, so you're caught by surprise, you might get
Yeah,
a trick email.
exactly.
That's a great idea.
It is, yeah. That, I think, regular training, security awareness, and then the phishing testing. Just because phishing is so commonplace, and the damage can be disastrous.
So what should you recommend to your employees to do if they think they got a phishing email? Like if they receive something and they are suspicious?
Well, the best thing to do would be to then send this to your IT to say, hey, I think this is a suspicious phishing email. They can help confirm it, and they can also, one of the things we do when we get those type of messages from our clients, we'll actually block the link, that will block the payload, so that and we'll not just block it for that client, we'll block it for all our clients. That hey, this URL, this web address that people are clicking on is bad, and then you should delete the message. Don't click on it. Don't click on it. Don't open it.
All right. Are there anything else that you want to wrap up with?
Be careful. Make sure you're educating your employees. Phishing is not going away. It's here to stay because it works. And it's unfortunate that it works. Phishing, vishing, smishing, every which way criminals will try to get you. They're going to keep trying to get you. And
They wouldn't keep trying if they weren't
they
making
wouldn't
money.
keep trying if it didn't work. That's the problem.
All right. Well, thank you, Dave. Very informative session as usual.
All right. Thank you.